I look for colleagues to join with me in introducing a bill to outlaw cryptocurrency purchases by Americans so that we nip this in the bud.
Yes, let's ban cryptocurrencies because we need to nip this in the bud. What do we need to nip in the bud? I'm sure he's about to tell us. Let's listen.
In part because not an awful lot of our international power comes from the fact that the dollar is the standard unit.
So a lot of the international power that the U.S. empire holds to ravage the nations of the earth with their war would be threatened because a lot of that power comes from the U.S. dollar, and that apparently is threatened by cryptocurrency. So the cryptocurrency threatens the U.S. empire's hold on international power. It would be a shame to lose that, now wouldn't it?
An awful lot of our international power comes from the fact that the dollar is the standard unit of international finance and transactions. Clearing through the New York Fed is critical for major oil and other transactions, and it is the announced purpose of the supporters of cryptocurrency to take that power away from us, to put us in a position where the most significant sanctions we have on Iran, for example, would become irrelevant.
Well, now that would be a real shame for the sanctions that the U.S. has put on Iran, and not only Iran, but also Syria and Venezuela and North Korea, and I think a lot of other countries. It's starving people. I've written on this on my Steam It posts in the past, but let's just take a listen. They admit it. Rudy Giuliani. Here we go. I'll play a clip of Rudy Giuliani admitting that U.S. sanctions are starving people in Iran.
The sanctions are working. The currency is going to nothing. We see signs of young men and women saying, "Give me some food." We saw a sign of a man trying to sell his internal organs for $500 American. Probably a fortune in Iran today. These are the kinds of conditions that lead to successful revolution.
It'd be a real shame if the U.S. empire's sanctions that are starving people would become irrelevant. And the New York Fed clearing all the U.S. money for big oil, if that was threatened, that'd be horrible, because big oil's not ruining the world. No, big oil has nothing to do with all the endless perpetual war in the Middle East. It's just a coincidence that the U.S. empire always invades oil-rich countries. Yeah, so big oil getting rich, making billions off of all this war, while our sons and daughters and brothers and sisters are being sent off to die and to kill people who have never threatened us. But we gotta keep this big oil empire. It's part of the U.S. empire. So never mind the fact that the Federal Reserve Bank has enslaved Americans by lending money at interest and then forcing the American taxpayer to pay back the interest of the loan that they never took. It was their government waging the war, and never mind that the same people that own the Federal Reserve Bank, these international bankers, they're behind all the war. Never mind all that. War is good. Bankers lending money at interest is good. The petrodollar is good. Big oil corporations are good, and cryptocurrencies are bad. Very bad. Crypto, bad.
So whether it is to disempower our foreign policy, our tax collection enforcement, or our traditional law enforcement, the purposes of cryptocurrency, the advantage it has over sovereign currency is solely to aid in the disempowerment of the United States and the rule of law.
Yes, cryptocurrency seeks to disempower the U.S. foreign policy, the warmongering empire, possibly tax collection, that is the forcibly collecting money to pay for that war, unnecessary war, and sanctions that are starving people, and war that's slaughtering people and causing mass destruction, and or even traditional law enforcement, or more accurately, road pirates. That's right, road piracy. They go around and they take money from law-abiding, peaceful citizens who have harmed no one, and they extort them of money. It would be a real shame to threaten any of that, because all those things are good. War is good, paying for war is good, and forcibly taking money from peaceful people who haven't harmed anyone to use that money to further increase the power of the state, which is just a monopoly on force. That's, all good things. So threatening that's very bad. We can't have that. So let's ban cryptocurrency. It makes so much sense. I'm totally with this Mr. Sherman guy. We need to ban cryptocurrency. I mean, I've got cryptocurrency, but heaven forbid I'm probably a terrorist or something. Let's listen further and see what else Representative Sherman has to say about the illegitimacy of cryptocurrency. Let's hear for ourselves. He's got more to say, so let's listen.
A currency is both a store of value, one you hope appreciates, and a medium of exchange. So let's focus on the medium of exchange. Is there any reason why I would need a cryptocurrency to pay for my groceries or anything else? Why would I, that wouldn't be adequately served by using dollars?
Gee, I don't know, Mr. Sherman. Maybe because people like to invest in currencies that aren't constantly being depreciated. You say money should appreciate in value, but the US dollar is constantly depreciating due to the Federal Reserve policies, the very same Federal Reserve Bank that you seem to love so much, clearing all that big oil money. But maybe that's just one reason. It's just like investing in gold or silver or really anything that you want to invest in, to have a wider diversity of investment, maybe? I don't know, Mr. Sherman. I mean, maybe that's crazy talk. Maybe that makes me a terrorist. I don't know.
Yes, Mr. Yes.
Thank you, Congressman. No, not yourself, I believe, sir, because you and I are...
You're assuming I'm not a terrorist or a criminal, and I thank you for that.
No,
assumption.
I'm assuming you're an American citizen, which I think is a pretty safe assumption.
Assuming I'm not a terrorist or a criminal.
Oh, I knew it. I'm a terrorist and a criminal because I own cryptocurrency. Oh my gosh, I was right on point. I knew I was a terrorist because, man, I own cryptocurrency. It makes me such a bad criminal and such a horrible terrorist. Oh, well, at least we know the truth now. Anyone that owns cryptocurrency is a criminal or a terrorist or both, and maybe worse. But, let's skip forward and hear a little bit more of what Mr. Sherman has to say. It's funny how he likes to interrupt people, but, it's Mr. Sherman for you. He's a great guy. So let's listen a little bit further to this clown show, this clown hearing. Maybe some of the people being questioned by Representative Sherman also have some good points to add to this discussion. Let's take a listen.
My only point is that cryptocurrencies are accessible. They're accessible financial tools only on the basic precondition that someone has a smartphone and an internet connection. And I think there are regions of the world where people will sooner have smartphones and internet connections than they'll have access to valuable and secure financial services from companies.
I wonder if someone else can comment on that. I don't think in the tallest mountain of Tibet, there's somebody with a $100 bill that they're holding on to. And on every cell phone, there's a way to use dollars or euros. Does someone else have a comment?
Mr. Sherman, thank you for the questions. I want to divide your question into two different parts. One part relates to things like Bitcoin and other currencies, which is really what you're discussing. Second part is going to relate to tokens and similar types of things that have instruments that have specific purposes on specific platforms that people can earn and generate in ways that you could not do with cash.
Exactly, Mr. Rosenblum. Something smart for a change from this clown hearing, like Steam It, DTube, other platforms on the Steam, other apps on the Steam blockchain, and other platforms that operate the same way. On Steam It, we get paid in SBDs and other nefarious cryptocurrencies. So I guess all the very many people on Steam It that are just trying to make a little bit of money blogging on the side, or maybe as a full-time income, I really don't know. I guess they're criminals and terrorists because they have cryptocurrency. Evil, bad, no. And I'm sure Mr. Sherman doesn't understand or care to understand why these and how these platforms work on crypto rather than cash.
What? I have limited time. Focus on what can't you do with cash?
Oh, see, there we go again. He doesn't care to understand, but we can explain it real quick. you can earn cryptocurrencies on crypto-based platforms on blockchain. It's a type of technology, and you can earn crypto that otherwise you wouldn't be earning anything for, and then you can trade that crypto into cash, and you can get the cash and buy your groceries, something that as we've just heard, Mr. Sherman, you do understand cash buys groceries. Turns out crypto buys groceries too. Wow, who knew? But I guess buying groceries with crypto makes you a criminal and a terrorist. I don't know.
And why couldn't these platforms use dollars?
Because there's nobody who's going to pay them. What happens on these platforms is that the platform itself.
Wait a minute, I have a bank, I pay them one way or another?
No. You have to find a source. You have to find somebody who would be in the business of paying them, and that costs money. So what you see in these platforms, what you see
Sir, I've lived my whole life. I'm as old as almost anybody in the room.
Oh, sir, that's very kind of you to say. But
Various intermediaries have handled my financial transactions my entire life, and none of them have gone hungry.
We're talking about a very different business model, right? That's one of the things that's so important about this, so important about this.
We know that this is a good method for terrorists, criminals, and tax evaders. So the question is there some great social purpose that cannot be met in any other way? I want to hear from a different witness, and I don't see one volunteering.
Nope, I'll volunteer. And to answer your question, yes, there is another good social purpose for cryptocurrencies, like poor people in impoverished countries, like maybe Yemen, Gaza, Syria, countries are sanctions or starving, maybe for them to make a little bit of money so they can buy food. And I don't know, maybe another worthy cause other than terrorism and criminals would be, I don't know, bringing down the U.S. empire and all the greed and hatred and violence and bloodshed and destruction that it's causing. But that probably makes me a terrorist, criminal, tax evader, because I want peace and freedom for all humanity. And that's terrible crime to want peace and freedom and to want love to reign and truth, and definitely makes me a terrorist because, like George W. Bush said, if you're not with us, you're with the terrorists. So yeah, this is my confession. I guess I'm officially a crypto terrorist. And this has been Jason. Hope you enjoyed my video. Please give it a thumbs up, share it if you like it, and have a great weekend. Peace.
We know that this is a good method for terrorists, criminals, and tax evaders. So the question is there some great social purpose that cannot be met in any other way? Well, perhaps we'll have another hearing after some major terrorist event financed by cryptocurrencies, and I yield back.